Hey, folks, welcome to the Generational Gap. I am Robert, your resident Gen Xer, and right over there is John, your resident Millennial. John, how are you this
Millennial.
evening?
Pretty all right. Moderately
Pretty,
neato.
pretty all right. Those, that's
Moderately
that's just
neato.
that's just not very grammatically pleasing. Pretty all right. Yeah.
Pretty all right. Not quite all right, but pretty.
Yeah, there's nothing about you that's pretty, but that's okay. Hey, I see we've had some folks show up already. I see Saint. I see two different elephant men, one from D Live and one from YouTube. But I'm just going to go ahead and say I think it might be the same elephant man, though looking like two in the chat.
Probably.
I'm not a professional, but logic dictates. But good to see you guys tonight. Please make sure and hit the like button if you haven't already. Hit that subscribe button, which I'm assuming you have. Elephant Man says he's out for a little bit, for about 45 minutes, so we'll be expecting him back. I
Wow.
believe John said at
At 9:01.
9:01, or
That's
you
right.
you
Or
said
he will be banned.
you're going to
Yes.
ban him. That's going to be
That's right. He said
interesting to
45
see.
minutes at 8:16. That means 9:01. We expect you back, Elephant Man.
So Saint says, "Roll Northumbria, roll me boys." Now
Yes.
you know that reference, John. Hello,
It
Eliza. Nice
is.
to see
Yeah.
you.
I do know that reference.
Are we in chat or are we lurking this evening? Lurking down under, as it were. Gets me a little warm.
Henry's
Henry, and
first, as always.
first after Eliza. Very good. Yes, you are first after
As
Eliza.
always. As
Right,
always.
as
First.
always, always first.
Yes, indeed.
But
Uh,
anyway, that you said something about a shanty. Is that
yeah, it's a
correct?
sea shanty roll, Northumbria roll. Yeah,
Uh,
it's a pretty good one too.
is
I
it?
recommend it.
If you're
Yeah,
into those,
if you're into those, yeah.
right? Yeah, I've
Which is
listened.
so funny when people like talk about Assassin's Creed Black Flag and they're like, "Oh, I love the sea shanties," and it's like, okay, I mean, those are cool. Those are a lot of really good ones. But like, I guess it's like that poser mentality when people are like, oh yeah, I like sea shanties. I like all the ones on Black Flag. It's like, dude, there's so many other ones that
Right,
are, and a lot of better ones too.
right,
But
absolutely. It's
yeah,
just the for me. I think for me now, I've listened to them in the past. But that's one of those genres of music, or one of those types of music that, like, I can't enjoy it because I don't ever get that, yo ho me hearty's drunk kind of, you know, uh,
yeah,
as it were. That's not me. I don't get to that that kind of party level. For me,
no,
it's a different thing. I don't know. For me,
yeah,
it's occasionally it's shots and some aggressive mingling.
yeah.
But
I mean, you just can't hang. You know what I mean? Like,
well, it's I never like
just can't hang.
I tried to get into I tried to get into the sports thing when I was in Atlanta. For a while I was there, the Atlanta Braves got on a winning kick, so
Mm.
they were competing for the World Series. It was very much. Have you ever seen the movie Major League?
Yeah, I believe
The
so.
funny baseball movie. It's got Sheen in it and some other guys. But anyway, it was a lot like that story because that was a story of Cleveland Indians making a comeback.
Hmm.
But it was very much like that for like 2 or 3 years. And I tried to get into it, but baseball has got to be one of the most boring sports. And I say one of because there's a lot that fight for number one, you know. Uh, but
Golf
but
being one.
it's just, you sit there and the only thing that will keep baseball interesting, I decided, is alcohol. That is
Yeah, of
why so
course.
much alcohol is sold during baseball and
Yeah.
so closely associated with it, because it's the only way to keep it interesting. You know, I mean,
Yeah.
but I couldn't, so I just can't get into it. And so that's the most party, that drinking party atmosphere I've ever tried to get in. I like house parties where people are sitting, but not that pub. I don't know. Sea shanties always make me feel like a tavern pub kind of situation.
Well,
It's
there's
like,
similar. There's the idea is similar, yeah. But they're not the same. And it's not just like you get super drunk and listen to sea shanties. They're awesome all the time.
Right. No, I'm just the
Especially as like a
atmosphere it
his.
creates, I guess, and
Sure, yeah, yeah.
the tone, as it were. But go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, they do make really good drinking songs. But no, I mean it's about like the history that a lot of those songs are over 200 years old,
Right.
which is really cool, and it shows. So it's kind of like a window into time, just with the lyrics, just for the things that they're referencing in
Right.
the songs, whether it be events or names, and their deeds. If that but what's funny is a lot of them are exaggerated too. So,
Right.
they'll change events around. It's really interesting to see like how music was made, I guess.
Hmm. So,
Yeah.
would you be willing to say that? So you're a fan of sea shanties, right?
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
So, and I would guess you probably even have like a playlist of sea
I
shanties
do.
that you enjoy, right?
I do, and I have a whole Pandora channel that
Just
is
for sea
surprisingly
shanties.
enough just for sea shanties. Yeah.
So this would also logically lead me to believe that you might have a favorite sea shanty, right?
um, that's a good question. I'm not sure if I can think of one off the top of my head. You put me on the spot like that.
Right.
Yeah.
Because typically, if you did have a favorite one, more than likely you know most, if not all, of the words
Oh, I'm
to it.
not singing a sea
And I
shanty.
would be willing
No,
to bet that our viewing audience would
no,
love to
it's not
hear
happening.
you throw a little bit of your favorite sea shanty out there for us.
Tell you what, the next time we do a charity stream, I'll put that up as one of the goal amounts.
It's got to be a
I'll.
well. See now.
It could be a pretty low one. It
You just
doesn't
avoid
have to be top.
look, watch these people when they know that you might sing a sea shanty. I bet they're look at
I doubt
Eliza.
it.
She's like, I come out of the lurking shadows for sea
That's true.
shanties. I mean, look at what you would do just for Eliza. Make it worth her time to come out of the shadows. To stop lurking, John. She stopped lurking for you. Sing a shanty or shave the beard. I wouldn't say. Let's not equate it to that level. Then he'll get all
Yeah,
like
it's
prim
not the
and
same.
proper. He'll be like, "Oh, we need $10,000 for me to sing
Right.
a sea shanty."
That's 100% what would happen too. Yeah,
Right? No, no, no.
absolutely
Those are
correct.
not on the same level. Him busting out a little snippet of a sea shanty would. Now, a whole sea shanty. Now, we could do that on a charity stream. But I thought, if maybe if you just had one like, that you kind of like if you pull up your playlist, the first one that you like to hear, or, what like to start off with,
Oh, see, no, what about that? Look, see, Saint's willing to do a duet.
Ooh,
And I
ooh.
mean, sea shanties aren't meant to be sung alone, you know.
Well, there's that, I
So
guess.
you don't want to
Okay.
ruin the art of it.
All right.
So I would be willing to do it with Saint, yeah.
Hmm.
Maybe if we can get some other
I'll tell you what.
nerds out there,
I'll tell you what.
form a little choir.
How about this? We'll do this. We've got to plan our next charity stream, and we've got one up and due soon. We haven't done one in a little while, so I think
Yeah.
it's a good idea that we do so. And just in case we didn't do it beforehand, real quick, Seawall is in the house. I don't know if you knew that, but
Yes,
he's
I
over
did.
there in the house. But
He is
anyway,
in the house. There he is.
uh, so we do charity stream, and what you can do is you can pick the sea shanty that you want to perform. You
Yeah,
send it to me, and I can set it up so that we have all the lyrics, and then anybody that wants to come on at the time with you as you lead us in a sea shanty,
that
they can
sounds
join
fun.
us on a Zoom call. They'll just jump in. They don't have to get on camera, just get on voice,
Yeah,
and the lyrics will be on the screen, and they can sing along with the song,
that sounds fun.
right?
Yeah, I'm down.
Because I can share that out there with them through Zoom,
Yeah.
wonderful broadcasting tool. Yeah. Okay, so
Yeah, that
let's
does
make
sound
that a
good.
plan. So then we just need to figure out next time we want to have a charity stream. So any
Yeah.
suggestions, please put them out there as long as it's not like this weekend, because
Yeah, we're kind
I,
of
this is when
kind of
I'm usually
busy.
this is my
Yeah.
weekend for waxing. So
I'll leave that. Eliza approves. Perfect.
See, I
There you
like
go.
it. I like it. We're getting somebody on board. All right, so that's a plan. So we'll talk about that sometime, maybe after the show tonight, and see what we come up with. If anybody, like I said, if anybody has any suggestions about good time coming up, I guess during the summer wouldn't be bad. Somewhere in the next couple of months, July, August. I mean, there's really not a lot going on till Labor Day.
Yeah.
But, what are we going to do? A charity for pregnant women? Um,
In late July? Ooh, I don't know.
that's bad
What do you
labor.
think?
Late
That's a
July.
little, yeah, it's a little
What
soon.
what happens in late July?
I
Well,
don't
let's see.
know.
That would put us
I
at
mean, we don't
three to
really need
four
a
weeks.
reason.
How many weeks are in July this year? Four or five?
4,
Four?
I
So
think.
it put us like 3 weeks of prep. No, we need a little bit longer than that. You're right. So 6 weeks at most. Do you
Yeah.
think we need that long? Do we?
Yeah.
Depending on how long we're going to do one for.
Especially if I'm trying to get guests and stuff, you
We're
don't
going
want
to
to
do
ask.
Are we talking about a 12-hour
Of
stream?
course,
Oh
always.
yeah. So if you're going to put guest asks out there, that does take a little
Yeah,
time to.
right. You don't want to ask them last minute because, I mean, that's, first of all, that's rude to do. And, you want to make sure that's far enough to where they probably don't have anything scheduled, you know.
So that's another thing that we could do. Hey, let's try let our viewing audience try and help us out with the charity stream. If you have suggestions for someone to come on, that you'd like us to reach out to, and I mean, there's no bad
Yeah.
ideas that we can reach out to and try and get on the stream for a little bit during a charity stream.
Tell you what, there's also YouTubers who do like sea shanties, like groups. I'll reach out to some of them and see if they'll do a song for us on, as a charity thing.
Oh, well, there you go.
Yeah, that could be
Um,
fun. Get some professionals to do it,
Oh,
and I'll
no,
join
no,
in
no,
as well. I'll join in
no,
as well.
that's
I'll
not
join
gonna,
in.
no, see, and
Then you know, I'll do a separate one.
now
I'll
you
do a
bring,
separate one.
yeah, now you
Fine.
bring us
I'll
back
do.
to, you need to sing something now.
Fine. I'll do a separate one then. That's fine. We'll do the amateur one, and then we'll get shown up by pros. How
There
about
you
that?
go. There you
All right.
go. Yeah, I
In
like
fact, we'll have like a sea shanty off,
a shanty
like a
off,
battle of, yeah, like a battle of the quartets or something.
a shant off.
Yeah, that'll be fun.
You shan't not pass. All right, that was a reach. But
Yeah,
it, but you know what? What if we? Why don't we do that? Just suggest to you. Maybe if you're bullshitting around, throw a new channel into Discord, a closed channel where people can just put up, I don't know, suggestions for any guests for an upcoming
yeah.
charity stream. You know,
Sounds good.
and we'll see about reaching out to them. You never know who we can get. You never know. We've been surprised at times by who we were able to get, right, John?
It's true.
It's
Yeah,
like, oh, really? A
shant
Shantoff?
off. Means I need 4 people, and I know I've got Eliza and Saint. Eliza might do it. Saint said he would already, so I got to form a little team here.
Can you
We gotta have
only
a
have
quartet.
four, or like, are you doing
I
it
mean, you
because
can
they
probably
have
have.
four, or I mean,
Most of them have 4, so I would say keep it even.
yeah, like that. If they want to impress us, bring a fucking crowd. Yeah. All right. So anyway, no, yeah, let's make that a thing. And then it was a thing. Ooh,
Seawall will do
Seawall
it
says
too.
he'll do it.
There you
Nice,
go.
nice,
Team formed
nice.
itself.
I can make that. I can make a thing happen. I can make a thing happen. I believe we can do it.
And a
Oh, and
Voltus
a
would be good
Voltus will
too.
do it. Oh, no.
Because I know he knows some stuff. I don't know if he knows sea shanties for sure. There we go. We got 5. Look at that. No
Jeez Louise,
shortage.
look at that. I would agree to do it too.
Now that there's a bunch of people you can hide your voice
But
in
except, yeah,
in the
I mean,
crowd. Yeah.
sure, I'll sing along.
Yeah. Right.
Does that look good? Does that work? All
Yeah,
right, good.
that was spot on.
Was it? All
Yeah.
right. I do.
Perfect.
I was always a big fan in the '80s of like the air bands,
Oh
right?
my
Not the
god.
both
I know. I
hair
mean,
bands and air bands. Okay, both. But I always wanted to be an air singer, so that was, um, but that was hard. That was just lip syncing, and that was too Milli Vanilli. Hey, so anyway, yeah, we'll plan that, folks.
For sure.
John's gonna find a way to make a channel and take suggestions.
I think I know how
Um,
to do that. We'll be all right.
yeah, if we can. Only thing is, we got to keep people from like turning it into a conversation channel. Keep it very
Yeah.
specific. Um, don't feel bad, Robert. My voice is bad too. Says Saint. That's okay. Eliza says she'll drink some rum and sing the songs of the sea.
Oh, of course. Yeah, yeah, yeah. We're gonna be
She
drinking
says her
during
voice
as
is
well.
amaze balls,
Nice.
and I
That'll make
think
one of
that
that'll make
means
one of us at
good.
least.
I think that means
Yeah,
good
I think so too. The kids,
because
the
balls aren't really
kids.
that amazing. But
No, usually
when they're
not.
amaze balls, that's different.
So anyway,
Um,
we have stuff, right?
well, there was a thing or two I wanted to talk to you about. I want you to remember back. You remember how I've said from the very beginning, that Trump will try and find some way to stay in office. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
and you've always told me, yeah, he can't do it, he can't do it, he can't do it.
Uh-huh.
Today I found an article, and it was rather interesting. And it's a senator named Tim Wirth, a former senator named Tim Wirth, and he kind of laid out this whole House of Cards plot that he believes that Trump is potentially willing to execute to make it happen. So if he loses in the 2020 election, he doesn't actually have to leave the White House and will retain the presidency uh, till 2024 at least. But anyway, so I just wanted to put it out there, and you tell me what you think. Because it's one thing for me to say it. He'll find some way, but it's
Yeah.
kind of it's surprising how much in line with some of the things I've suggested are. But he says it starts with an allegation through that he'll attempt to start doing it through voter suppression. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
that they have a strategy for voter suppression and purging voters, and they say that currently it's kind of already happening, especially in urban areas and cities. He said that there has already been an effort in Republican-led states to remove voters from voter roll call sheets. But between 2016 and 2018, more than 17 million names have been removed from voter rolls around the country. A lot of these Republican led states.
Now, were
Okay.
these dead people by
Well,
chance?
that is it. That is normally how it is. And it says while names are removed from voter rolls every year due to deaths or citizens leaving the state, the number of voters removed from the rolls since 2016 has significantly increased. Normally, states on average remove 7.6% of their voters from the roll, uh, but that was an average. Some of the states were actually much higher. Thus, how averages work, that kind of thing.
I think I know. Yeah.
But mainly saying that it was greatest in states like Virginia and Wisconsin, Maine, Oklahoma, Massachusetts. Um, with Indiana being the highest, they removed 22.3% of voters from their state rolls. And that's a pretty significant number. Now, I don't know how
Mm.
many people are moving. He doesn't give, like specific statistics in the article as far as where he's getting the
He
sources
doesn't
of
cite
these numbers.
sources.
Huh?
He doesn't cite his sources. Is what you're saying?
Not where he got the
The
physical data.
numbers.
No,
Yeah.
he's not pointing that out in the article. And
Mm.
but now remember from Worth, this is all kind of theory. But
Right.
so he says he'll move on from that, and should he lose, and basically, within a close margin of Biden, a relatively close margin. He believes that he will claim the vote was rigged and rely on emergency powers and Republican compliance within within Congress to overturn the election. He said that specifically it depends on the swing states of Arizona, Wisconsin, Michigan, and Pennsylvania. Those four states are the key swing states that will have an impact. But he is going to supposedly blame mail-in ballots and Chinese election interference and invoke emergency powers to launch a Justice Department investigation into election hacking in the swing states. And when he does that, they will stall it out until December 14th, when states must appoint their electoral college electors. And those states are controlled by Republicans. The legislators will refuse to certify their electors until the election hacking investigation is finished, because they're Republican held, right? He says the Democrats will challenge it, and it will be they'll challenge the investigation, and then they'll take it to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court will rule against the Republicans, but will concede that Trump's emergency powers authorize him to continue the investigation. Thus, the election still won't go through. And then eventually it will work out to where the contested election, they'll deem the election was contested, and they'll take it to the House of Representatives. Everybody gets to cast a vote, and since they do, and the Republicans hold the House, it's 26 to 23, he will remain in office because they'll nullify the election, basically. And like, these are all like legitimate events that could happen, right? And
you know why they could happen? Because, yeah, like what Saint is saying, this is what Hillary claimed in 2016, but China instead of Russia. It's the same plan that the Democrats had in 2016 to try and delegitimize Trump's presidency and the election.
So do you think he will do this, though? I mean, is he laying the groundwork for this? Because, different things point to it. I mean, he's been talking about election issues with the mail-in ballots and Chinese impact on the election and hacking. And, I mean, we know that it happens. Yeah. We already know it happens, right? It's been going on for a long fucking time. This is not new. It's just we're being exposed to it.
Right.
But, will he pull that card? Is that 4D chess enough for him at this point?
I don't know. I kind of think if I was him, I would be very careful about something like that. Any kind of question on, like, any kind of possibility of allegation towards you for election meddling at this point with how the country is at the moment. Plus, if you're caught doing something like that, you can't then point the finger at the Democrats, which is the whole strategy.
Right.
That's the point. That's what he's been doing. That's what he's going to be doing when it comes to the election. He did the same thing before the last one. He was saying, "Oh, if I lose, it's rigged." Obviously not like that, but especially what he's saying. He was trying to cast blame and point fingers all over the place to cover himself if he lost. He can't do that if he's caught meddling in the election or doing something shady.
Like now, out of everything that was talked about there, I mean, where there really wouldn't be any meddling by him at all. He would just be calling appropriate foul and forcing an investigation. And by forcing the investigation and stalling out the process enough, apparently he can get to a point where he can rely on the House to put him in office and win the election. I mean, it's interesting because it kind of takes it back to what it was originally intended to be, was, not us choosing the president anyway, but to basically bypass, if he can make the election look fouled up just by calling an investigation.
I don't know. I don't know.
But the question I ultimately have, and the article doesn't talk about it in the statistics it lays out, is how much of the purging of the rolls is Democratic claimed voters. Which party are the voters from? but it doesn't really talk about that. It does say, urban areas, things like this, but, I wonder if that's supposed to indicate that it's, you know, I don't know, lower economic, which then, kind of points to the democratic stereotype.
I don't know. I mean,
Would
I
that be
guess
the
we'll just
kind
have
of
to see.
meddling? Is that meddling in your opinion? Would that make the removal from the voter rolls meddling? Or is that just purging? I mean,
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely purging, but I don't know. But when it comes to whether or not that would actually happen, I still doubt it. I don't know. We'll just have to see. I
yeah, I
mean,
mean, it would take some significant
it's
working of
so
the system.
yeah, it's so hard to predict what Trump will do, like at any given time with any given thing. So
Um,
I don't know.
but he did. One of the things that makes me think he's brash enough to do it is the simple fact that he was so blatantly honest, as it were, about the bankruptcies that he had in Atlantic City, the casino bankruptcies.
Mhm.
And he's like, look, the system is there. I just knew how to work the system. I knew how to do it so that I came
Right,
out of that smelling like roses.
right.
That's
No, I
what you
understand that.
that's just
Yeah,
what you do. So, if he's got a system he can work and win the election, I don't know. I might be tempted to think he could do it.
maybe we'll just have to see. I guess
Uh, uh, what is Ron Hillman is.
Maxwell did not kill herself. Yeah, that's true. Not
Saint says this way, right? Elephant Man and Liza and Elephant Man aren't in the chat at the same time. Saying this is conjecture.
yeah, just saying.
Maxwell did not kill herself. Who's Maxwell?
What's her name? Lane or some shit like that. Maxwell, the one that just got arrested, in connection with, in connection with Epstein.
Epstein.
Yeah, I've mostly seen the memes. I haven't like looked into the
Arkansas.
actual shit.
It says Arkansas.
But yeah, I've
Um,
seen the memes though.
that was okay. Wow, I have to look into that because I didn't realize that that had happened. That's kind of shady when that happens. It's too soon. You got to wait a lot longer to do something like that.
Oh wait, well, hang on, because she hasn't died yet, as far as I know.
Oh,
Yeah,
oh,
yeah, yeah.
oh! I thought that's what he was
They're
saying.
just no. It's just like in future when it does happen is what the meme is.
Sewell says many cities are known
Oh,
for
child
having
snatcher and groomer, right?
more voters than citizens on the rolls. That's interesting. I
Yeah,
wonder how that happened. I wonder
dead
how that.
ones, not dead people, not being taken off and voting Democrat.
Yeah, but you would think that that's. I mean, with
Dude,
us where we're at, it technologically
you're
speaking, right?
expecting government bureaucracy to work
I
efficiently.
I just it's not even about that.
Let
It's
go of
just a
that.
computer, an efficient computer could handle all of that. I mean, as soon as somebody hits the death rolls, they could be taken off the voter rolls.
Not
Simple
government
computer program
computers.
would never, that would never be an issue, and it
Yeah,
would
but
catch any duplications. It would. I mean, why are we so fucking archaic
because
when it
government
comes to
sucks.
voting? Like, how is it the most important thing that we can do as a citizen, yet it is the most convoluted and bureaucratically stymied activity that we can do? Why? What's the point? Do you think it's
Yeah.
intentional?
No, I think it's just incompetence.
But look at the shit the CIA has. Look at all those
Yeah,
supercomputers and all that shit that the government has for other stuff.
they
And I'm like, can't you can't hook a state up with a fucking
no,
program that'll get dead people off the voter rolls automatically?
apparently not.
Seawall says any computer can be hacked. I get it,
Yeah,
but of
that's true
course, I
too.
also think to myself, well, I'll tell you what. Take some
It'll
of
use
that money
what?
that you're paying, some of the alphabet agencies, and put it into a fund and make an enormous payday for like hackers, the good hackers, like the best hackers. Find them, pay them well. That's where, yeah, there you go. That's how I'd like my system protected. You know, let's take money out of a little bit of money out of social programs like welfare. Let's take some money out of that. Let's take a few million out of that and pay a few salaries,
Scantron, dude.
right?
Fuck yeah, Scantron.
Uh, see
Oh,
what says you
Elephant
hit.
Man's back in time. I would just want to note that he was indeed back in time. So good for
Now,
him. He
you know
did not
what?
get banned.
See, well, I don't say necessarily that you should hand it all over to computers, but what I do think is that we have the technology and the money to have the people and computers to do these things where the from the human perspective, they only have to be in the role of maintaining and checks and balances. When the computer does things like, I mean, purging names off a voter roll can be a double check system, but I mean, come on. We don't have to have more voters than citizens in a city. That just gets so fucking screwy. Um, but I guess that's our fault too, because we don't put change of address in when we're moving all the time, and we don't change our phone numbers. And Jesus Christ, how many people are in one state and have a phone number from another state?
Oh yeah.
Right? That's
Yep.
crazy now. Landlines used to fix that.
Used to.
That used to be the solution. Uh, Elfman says Scantron would be best in my opinion. Now the Scantron was
Scantron, dude.
I'm trying to remember which one were the Scantrons. Were those like the little the Scantron answer
Yeah,
sheets
the
for
little
like the
bubble ones.
standardized test,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. You like
Right.
bubble the answer. Yeah.
Wow. uh, Alpha Man says paper copy, but with quicker counting. Sure.
Yeah.
It doesn't leave any hanging chads behind. It's good stuff. Someone always pays more. Yes, I
Yeah.
get it. I know. It's gonna. I mean, the only answer to the hack thing is to not have computers. That's really the only answer you can have for a system can always be hacked. Great. Then stop all technology. that's the only that's the only thing you can do. I mean, so
Ugh.
hack is not a good argument anymore about things. Hack is a hack is a hack is a hack. Um, but Sewell says air-gapped voting computers have already proven to be insecure. The best option is just purge the entire roll after each election. Yeah, but then of course, that plays into that. I guess that plays into somebody's hands because doesn't that mean people still have to physically go and register to vote every single year?
I mean, you can vote. You can register to vote online.
Is that
So
not an impediment to the vote if you had to do it once a year? Um, Ron says I voted in my hometown year once because the cutoff date had already passed right before I moved. Yeah, I've been in that situation. It was the year that Reagan ran. Um, but yeah, so I don't know. I don't know. It's the most convoluted, fucked up system. It really is. There's so many errors and flaws with it. It's ripe for him to just saying it's ripe for him to jump on the bandwagon to find some way to force a fix, to do something, and maintain our supreme leadership for a while. I'm just saying. But anyway, so there was something else that I saw. Actually, it was in our Discord channel. Somebody put it in there as a show suggestion, and
oh no.
oh yeah, yeah. And I was going to talk to you about it because I thought it was interesting. Um, you've heard of what?
Nothing.
You've heard of climate science? Have you heard of that?
I've heard of it.
Global
Yeah.
warming.
Uh-huh.
Um,
No, it's the climate emergency now. That's what they're calling it, right?
Climate emergency
Yeah.
is definitely. How long have we been hearing climate emergency? 5 years,
Couple of
10 years.
something like that, yeah.
Got to get rid of fossil fuels. The Earth is dying. We need to switch to renewables. AOC, she is one of the most outspoken on this kind of silliness.
Yeah.
Right? Like want to get rid of airplanes. Want to get rid of airplanes, John.
Yeah,
completely.
fuck them.
Like,
Who needs them?
I mean, how are we supposed to fly without airplanes? I mean,
You just flap your arms like
I
really
mean,
fast.
literally, how do you fly without airplanes,
You
AOC? I
flap you
just need
flap
to
your
know.
arms really fast, like really really fast.
But it's been a long ongoing conversation, and an extreme alarm has been sounded over the years that has gotten louder and louder and louder. We are fucking up the planet. And look at, and what has it spawned? It spawned all sorts of stuff like vegetarians. That was already a thing, but it cemented
Ugh.
that movement. And then you got into vegans, right? And
Oh
just
god.
all the derivatives. And now the whole organic food movement, right? All this green, healthy food. I'm like, fucking food grown in the ground is already organic. What are you talking about? That's really kind of like what organic means. I
Yeah.
mean, it's a thing. But anyway, so they've told us some pretty alarming stuff that we are headed towards a mass extinction to that level, right? They've really taken it up. But apparently, there was an article written and it was on Forbes, but Forbes actually pulled it for whatever reason. They didn't give a reason when they did it, but it was by his name is Michael Shellenberger. Okay, and he is a 30-year veteran of the environmental wars, as it were. This is just
Mhm.
what I call it. But anyway, he wrote a book, Apocalypse Never, recently. Um, and
Nice. I like it. That's a good title.
he says it's a fact-based approach to climate science and engaging. And it was engaging and well researched. Now, when they say it was fact-based, from what I understand, the book has approximately 100 pages of footnotes out of
Hmm.
the 4 to 500 page book. 100 pages is footnotes where he cites all his sources, etc. Right? Because the guy's been around for 30 years in the environmental world, right?
Yeah.
But Forbes pulled this article that he wrote, and Zero Hedge posted it and said that they wanted to put it up because they didn't feel it was right for Forbes to censor that, and because it's of course blatant censorship. When you pull an article that you gave somebody permission to write, you posted the damn thing, and he's not saying anything. He's not saying anything egregious, you know.
Hmm.
But basically, the article title says it all. He says, on behalf of environmentalists, I apologize for the climate scare. And what the book is, and this article goes on, he says, I would like to formally apologize for the climate scare we created over the last 30 years. Climate change is happening. It's just not the end of the world. It's not even our most serious environmental problem.
Hmm.
Again, 30-year activists for
Right.
climate change, alarmist. But he says, here are a few things that very few people know that he talks about in this book. And he says, first off, humans are not causing a sixth mass extinction. Like, we are not enough of a population on this planet at this time to kill ourselves off in an extinction level event through the
Right.
environment. Not on our
Isn't
part.
isn't the argument that it's the overpopulation, like more people, like stopping the flow of people?
Sure.
I mean, that's the thing, stopping
Right.
more people from being here. So that's kind of to say, yeah. I don't think anyone's saying we have enough people now to cause an extinction.
Right.
I think the argument is usually that it's we will buy
Well,
whatever.
it's ultimate. It's really that when they talk about extinction, it's us affecting the environment so badly
Right.
with the amount of people we have, but we don't. And that's what he says. Some of the things he talks about in the book is, uh, density is not as bad as people make it out to be. Uh,
Right. That I know. Yeah, I know that's not a thing, but
so
yeah.
when I mentioned if I were to mention the Amazon jungle to you, what kind of scare propaganda comes to mind thinking about the Amazon?
That logging companies are tearing it down
Right.
and
Be,
destroying it, killing millions and millions of species that live only there and whatnot, all
right.
that stuff. Yeah.
And what is the Amazon the biggest producer of?
It's supposed to be providing what is like 25% of our oxygen.
Right, right,
Yeah.
right. Guess what he says? He says, guess what? Amazon is not the lungs of the world. It doesn't it's not responsible for as much of the oxygen that the world uses, that the
Right.
world needs, as we say, as they said it was. It's not really that big a deal.
Right. Well, yeah. I mean, the oxygen doesn't travel too far from the trees, so like it's not gonna just spread all over the world like that. I don't
Um,
know.
we live here in Florida, right?
I believe so. Yes.
Have you heard anything over the last few years about how hurricanes are worse because of climate, the global
I've heard
warming?
that was a thing. Yeah.
He says no, no. The climate change is not making natural disasters worse. Nothing about the climate is doing that. Yes, we are warming up as a planet. We've talked about that before. The climate shifts on a planet,
Yeah.
but no, it's not happening. Fires. We hear so much about fires, right? And like
Well, yeah.
you
Mostly in
hear
California. Yeah.
California, Australia, even they were, but they, and you see them in other places, and they attribute it like the increase of fires that you see. Guess what? Since 2003, 25% in decline in fires around the world.
Hmm. So it's just California that's
Right, right.
fucking up the average, man.
Uh, meat, meat. We waste so much resources, land and stuff to deal with cattle and raise meat and butcher it and eat it. And then, of course,
Yeah.
there's the methane issue, right? Um the amount of land we
Yeah. Cow
use,
parts.
amount of land we use for meat has declined by an area nearly as large as Alaska.
Sure, that makes sense with like factory farms and whatnot. You don't need as much land.
Here's one for you. Going back a step, the buildup of wood fuel and more houses near forests, not climate change, explain why there are more and more dangerous fires in Australia and California.
Hmm.
Building too close to the forests causes
Yeah.
fires. People being around forests. Where's Smokey the Bear when you need him? Carbon emissions are declining in most rich nations and have been declining in Britain, Germany, and France since the mid 1970s. Uh, Now, this one I don't understand. I've got to look more into it, but I think it has to do with maybe fishing. What's a primary export from the Netherlands?
Netherlands.
Yeah.
Um, I know that they probably fishing is my guess. Probably fishing in like some kind of like grain or wheat, or some kind of grain or something like that. I don't know. I know they used to be merchants, so I don't know.
It says
That is.
adapting to life below sea level made the Netherlands rich, not poor. So,
Yeah,
so
they were very
apparently,
rich. I don't know how rich they are now, but they used to be extremely rich.
here's an interesting one. We currently produce 25% more food than we need, and food
Hmm.
surpluses will continue to rise as the world gets hotter because you'll be able to grow more food in more places
Right.
as it does get warmer. So, habitat loss and the direct killing of wild animals are bigger threats to species than climate change. So, human interaction on animals and basically is worse for animals than the changing of the climates. Surprise! But now, then that does lead into that whole right ecosystem argument that without the ecosystem, everything starts
Right.
to die off. I don't know. John. What happens if the mosquitoes go away?
I'll be happy.
But will the world end? Will it be a ripple effect? Uh,
Probably.
wood fuel is far worse for people and wildlife than fossil fuels. Did you know that?
I did not.
Yeah. Preventing future pandemics requires more, not less, industrial agriculture. This idea that industrial agriculture introduces bacteria into food,
Mm.
but the realism
Hmm.
is that it reduces it. I mean, but you still see it sometimes, right? You'll see
Of
outbreaks,
course.
of
Yeah.
the romaine lettuce.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
he says factories and modern farming are the keys to human liberation and environmental progress. And these are arguments that environmentalists make that, of course, factories are bad and modern farming introduces too many um, unsafe elements into food. Uh, he says the most important thing for saving the environment is producing more food, particularly meat, on less land. Um, the most important thing for reducing air pollution and carbon emissions is moving from wood to coal to petroleum to natural gas to uranium. So here's an environmentalist saying we need to go nuclear.
Yeah.
We need to go nuclear. And that's kind of a far reach, right? That's not something you expect, right? You normally hear him talking about renewables. But
Yeah.
he says 100% renewables would require increasing the land used for energy from today's 0.5% to 50%.
Oh my God.
From 0.5% currently to
That's ridiculous.
50% land usage to produce energy, to produce 100% energy that we need.
That's ridiculous.
So
Holy
there's
shit.
there's your property rights, right?
Yeah. Fuck that.
The primary
All
export of the
these
Netherlands,
guys.
Stick's wife says
Six's wife. Yeah.
FTC. Flowers and wind, Elephant Man says.
Yeah. Flowers and wind.
Humanity is also in an unusually cold period right now. Look into the Minoan and Roman warming period. Seawall says, "Yeah,
Jesus.
I've looked into some of that. I'm still a proponent of potential mini ice age coming. I don't know. I'm kind of hoping it will. I
That'll
know
be
how
fun.
I know how to get by in cold weather.
Well, not
He's
only that, but Florida will get just like nice. Florida will be like Southern California. It'll be perfect.
So he's now this is one that's interesting because from a standpoint of energy, he says we should want cities, farms, and power plants to have higher, not lower power densities. So we should look to have our power condensed in areas to smaller areas, which does kind of make sense from an efficiency standpoint, right? You need fewer power sources, especially if uranium is that uh, effective when it comes to generating energy. I don't know how much. I don't know what you need currently for a nuclear power plant to and what it powers. So
No
that
idea.
would be good to see some stats. Okay, so check this out. Vegetarianism and veganism
It's
reduces
super gay. Oh, sorry.
reduces one's carbon emissions by less than 4%.
uh,
So all this impact that they say going that route, not eating meat and blah blah blah, really has very little effect on your carbon
well,
footprint.
so hang on, because I'll make the argument for vegetarians there, or vegans really. You said it's reducing each person's carbon footprint by 4%, right?
Less than.
Less than 4%. So obviously the argument there is one, that's only one part of, lowering your own personal footprint, right? It's veganism plus, all the other shit you do.
Right.
So that's just one thing. One small part of a whole. And two, if everyone did that, that little 4%, obviously it would all add up and turn into a, lower net carbon footprint. Which is why you have to go out and proselytize, tell everyone how vegan you are and how awesome it is and how great you feel,
Right.
even though you look sickly as fuck.
What would Jesus do?
Yeah. So
Seawall,
that would be the argument coming back towards that.
Seawall says nuclear has the highest energy density. I could understand that. As long as it's safe, it's supposed to be safer now to use with less issues. But
Mhm.
again, it's one of those things where I'm like, I don't love the idea of what the potential that nuclear has from a
Whatever.
fail standpoint. Hey, I'm just saying, I don't want a
You
Chernobyl. I don't
know,
want another 3 Mile
no
Island. I
pain,
don't want
no
those
pain,
things.
no gain, man.
He says the sun. Oh yeah, the sun may enter hibernation. Elverman says we are in a solar minimum, no sunspots at all. That It's also there's supposed to be a magnetic flip happening with the sun, where it transposes its two magnetic poles. I think it is something along those lines, and that will cause a dramatic cooling for us. Supposedly,
Yeah,
something about that.
so way outside my wheelhouse.
Right.
Like,
Seawall says about a ton of
nope.
fuel is consumed by a nuclear power plant per year. Coal consumes multiple tons per day. Yeah, makes sense. Now, check this out. Greenpeace. You're familiar with Greenpeace?
Vaguely.
They were like the group that saved the whales, right? They
Yeah,
were
yeah.
out
Okay,
there.
so I know exactly who they. Yeah,
They
yeah.
saved the
They
whales.
were
Guess
in Ace Ventura: Pet Detective. Got it.
right.
I know exactly who.
Uh,
Yeah.
guess what he says about them?
They suck and are gay.
Greenpeace didn't save the whales. Switching from whale oil to petroleum and palm oil did. It was a change in the oil that we were using to
Yeah.
save the whales. Like, I did that.
Yeah.
Free range beef would require 20 times more land and produce 300% more emissions. So
300% more cow farts.
right.
No,
And
I
you
mean it
need,
would probably also have to do with like the tractors going through and
well,
keeping gas
no,
low.
because you don't
I
take
guess you
tractors
wouldn't
out
need
around
to. Yeah,
cows.
I
You
guess
don't
you wouldn't need to
you ride
because the
horses.
cows will just kind of keep it
Yeah, they're free range. That's like the old, like they used to be back in the old days
right,
before you had commercial type, industrial
right.
type meat processes.
Understood.
But
Yeah,
I mean, I thought most farmers kind of ran their cattle, just ran them out.
yeah,
But anyway, 20% more land, 20 times more land, excuse me, 20 times more. That's significant when you talk about land.
yeah.
Greenpeace dogmatism worsened forest fragmentation of the Amazon. Greenpeace had a worse effect on the Amazon than we would have if we had just left it alone. Uh, Oh, and the colonialist approach to gorilla conservation in the Congo. You remember how many Congo apes were killed in the Congo?
Yeah.
It produced a backlash that may have resulted in the killing of 250 elephants. Um, I mean, they kill off a lot of animals there, though. I mean, gorillas,
Yeah.
uh, elephants, killing elephants. So, going to kill elephants to save gorillas. you know. But
Gorillas are
anyway,
cool as fuck, though, man. I like
huh?
gorillas. Gorillas are cool as fuck. I like gorillas.
So I think I'm gonna
They're
get.
awesome.
I think I'm gonna get this book because I think I kind of want to read it and really get into the nuts and bolts of all the bullshit that they've been feeding us about climate change and global warming. Apocalypse never. I don't know. What do you think? I mean, is it one of those things that
It's just a subject that I'm not interested in at all.
but if
Science has never been a strong suit of mine,
right,
and so I don't want to try and give an opinion on something that I admittedly don't understand. Even though I might do that on occasion here,
right,
I know for a fact that I don't understand climate science and all that shit. So I'm not even gonna try.
right.
Yeah,
But would you say that because of things like uh, things and people like AOC who
hmm
actually want to get legislation passed, like the
right.
what was it,
Green New Deal.
Green New
Green
Deal,
New Deal. Yeah.
Green New Deal, that want to put things like that into play?
Yeah.
which are going to affect our everyday. I mean, literally
Right.
talking about getting rid of airplanes in that, right? Eventually, we're going to do away with all air travel because it's too uh, harmful to the environment, and the fuel and
And then
all.
we go back to wooden ships.
Right?
Fuck yeah.
Um, so it does have a very significant impact on your life from a bureaucratic standpoint and from a governmental standpoint. I mean, you never know when your state's going to jump on the bandwagon. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
start saying, okay, here are some environmentally friendly things that are going to affect your life that you have to start doing. Um, you know, like some places like got super fucking Nazi about recycling. They have
Yeah.
gotten super crazy on how that happens, and you can get into some you know really weird fucking altercations if you're not doing it right. Oh, don't you can't throw that in there. That's not trash. You have to put it in this bin.
Yeah.
Or my name's not Karen.
That's right. Yeah.
uh, Elfman says there was work on nuclear waste to turn it into batteries. Wow, I didn't know that. That's a little bit scary. Could you imagine? Um,
Well, no, I mean nuclear waste. Yeah. I don't see again. I don't know anything about it. So.
See, I keep hoping that maybe is it cold fusion or cold fission? We use fusion right now, but I know fission is supposed to like be the end all be all if we could make fission happen. Somebody tell me if I'm off the mark here, if I'm getting the two confused. But I thought there was like a cold fission or cold fusion that would far surpass nuclear, but we just haven't been able to figure it out properly.
I'm gonna
Um,
guess cold fusion just because I don't. I've heard of that one. So. Yeah.
Alpha says, I realize you two look out your window and see flat land, but there are mountainous regions that could not be farmed for vegetation but can be used for grazing animals. Exactly. Um,
Oh,
you know,
that's true, dude. That's
there is,
true.
there is, but I mean, just to, I want to say the best. I don't know what you would call it, but the appropriation of so much land for that. I mean, like I wouldn't mind, yeah, some land that I could run a few
You can put your
animals
own
on,
animals
right?
on,
Maybe,
yeah.
but I want to be able to get myself
Well, you
10,
have
10
like,
acres, and as opposed to only 4 acres because the other
yeah,
six are taken up by somebody running cattle for a big free range cattle
or if we have,
farm.
small communities, you could have a community grazing area where everyone just takes their
I would go
animals
eat
over
there
there.
all
And,
the time.
yeah,
And it also says high CO2 is good for plant growth, and analysis of fossils indicates that there was much more in the air in the past.
but
I
yeah,
agree.
as far as I
Oxygen,
know, both of them are true.
an
Yeah.
oxygen dense atmosphere, if I'm not mistaken, can also produce much larger growth patterns. If any of the scientific theory is correct surrounding that. I did hear an interesting biblical scientific explanation for biblical events that had to do with an oxygen-rich atmosphere here on the planet. But we'll go into that at another time when religion matters to me. I understand it matters to those of you who have faith in whatever you have faith in. I will not
God,
knock that, and I will not deny you your faith. I'm just a heathen, and I hope I'm
you are
forgiven when the
fucking degenerate heathen
you know.
scum
Seawall
apostate.
says recycling nonmetals does more harm than good. Yeah, the cost alone itself, the cost is not justified in recycling. I saw another article that talked about that, like all this time and effort put into recycling and stuff, and it's not as cost effective as just trashing it and making new. you know, it's like
Yeah.
specifically on plastic bottles, like water bottles. It's almost cheaper to just make new ones and not recycle. But there's just people making money, you know, in the process, driving up the cost of it. Makes you wonder how much you pay for that bottle, and then the water, because water ain't expensive.
Well, I mean, all the stuff they have to do to it. Speaking of,
Okay, so Seawall says we use fission right now. Yeah, I've got it backwards. Okay, so cold fusion is a meme, and fusion has at best decades out. We will have sustainability issues that the Appalachians could feed the world. Oh, I could imagine the
that would
Appalachians
be
could
cool.
do a lot. That would be a great place to run cattle and sheep and
I
all
want
sorts of stuff.
alpacas, dude. Alpacas are the most
Um,
useful of all
do they
cattle
taste
animals.
good? Is what matters.
Probably.
Don't no. You
I
can't.
never
You
had
can't throw a pro.
alpaca.
That's got to be of concern. I mean, you
It
got to
probably
think
depends
about
on how
that.
you cook it. If you cook it well, then it'll taste good.
I mean, when you're living in an
Dude,
environment like
alpaca
that,
burgers, man.
when
Alpaca burgers. Fuck
uh,
yeah.
is that might be a thing already. You never know. I know there's
It
that.
probably is somewhere. Somewhere where they eat
Uh,
alpacas.
but when you live in an environment like that, I mean, honestly, you have to take that into account with any animal that you have around. Like if you have a dog, is it a good eating variety? Like,
Mm.
because you never know when that might become a thing. How many cats do you have? You need enough for mousers, but, you know, do you let them have a litter so that you have a more sustainable food source
Yeah.
if needed? If needed.
Right.
Because were the situations reversed, they will eat you if you die.
Oh
So
yeah.
you might as well eat them first,
Yeah. Cats are assholes, man.
right?
Yeah.
Um,
At least a
so,
dog would wait a couple days,
right.
more than you, and
So if
then
you're going to have alpacas, are they a food source? That that
yes, they are a
justifies it,
food
right?
source. They are a food source for sure. They're also a source of wool, for
Yeah.
making your own
No
clothes.
one knew that, John.
Yeah, and milk as well. They
Elephant
don't
Man.
take up a lot of room.
Elephant Man makes a good point. He says goats would be best, most dense meat source, but it takes a lot of spices to eat it. Not necessarily.
I never had
I,
goat.
you know what? Goat makes really good fucking jerky.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Hmm.
goat makes good jerky. But if it depends on, like, there's a difference between wild goat and farm raised goat. I mean, there's a gaminess that's involved, much like any other
Sure.
wild animal that affects the flavor. But
Yeah.
goat is not a great meat. Lamb, great, right? You get
Yeah.
young sheep, young goats. Young goats are good. The
Wait,
milk,
young.
never had it.
Oh, young cows are veal, right? Okay, yeah. I thought
Rob,
you
we
said
are in
veal.
China and we don't want COVID to electric boogaloo.
We've already got that.
Just FYI, if everything were to pop off like some of these people think it will, the what is it, apocalyptarians, something along those lines.
Oh, collapsitarians is what
The
they're called.
collapsitarians.
Yeah.
There's even a millennial version. It's
Doomers. I don't know.
no, like the like a play on the word millennial. But anyway,
I don't know.
millenarians are
Yeah.
basically an all-encompassing kind of doom apocalyptic thing now. But anyway, yeah, I mean, you have those scenarios. I mean, you're not going to be picky, you know,
Yeah.
you're not.
Of course. I'm just saying, if you have time to set up before, then you have your choice, and I think
Right.
a better choice is alpaca.
I
So
say, if you're smart, you'll run wild turkeys on them on your land.
you can run,
Get
yeah, you can run turkeys
get a
on
bunch
there.
of turkeys and let them run loose, and they'll start doing their thing, and they'll hang out, and you'll have turkey around year after year if you've got enough property. And there you go, man. Now you'll get deer and stuff like that, of course, general
Hmm.
stuff. Maybe raise a cow or two. You want some milk, you want some cheese.
Yeah. Hmm.
Keep a bull around to sire off to any neighbors you might have. Post-apocalyptic neighbors might want some breeding.
Yeah.
Um, but some chickens. You need chickens for eggs, and pigs. You need one good mother sow to have a litter,
So
and
I,
then
I see pigs as like one of the worst animals to have around because they're only used for meat.
no, they're a good source of uh, waste removal.
That's true.
Between them
That's
and
true.
goats, they'll eat every
Yeah,
fucking thing that you get
that's
rid of.
true. Okay, yeah.
I mean,
That's fair.
I
Yeah, I
mean,
didn't consider that.
you feed them all your refuse. Now, you might want to be using that for compost, but if you have animals running around, guess what? You'll have sources of compost that
Right.
fertilizer that you
Plenty.
can use, because you're not going to be running a tractor out there post-apocalyptic point, right?
Right.
Rabbits, I recommend rabbits are a good thing. Um,
Dude, yeah.
and interestingly enough, rabbits bring some predators, and those aren't bad to have either, because you can get yourself in some coyote and maybe some foxes that you can drop and get the pelts from,
Yeah.
because those will be useful. Uh, you know, just you know, just spitballing here. Just things
Yeah,
you
suddenly we
might
turned
consider.
into a prepper, what do you
Right,
call it?
right.
Prepper stream.
Welcome to the Gen Gap prepper stream.
That's right.
Um, but no,
See,
I am. What was that? Go ahead.
oh, I was going to say Elephant Man saying goat milk is good, not great, great for cheese. I don't like goat cheese. I tried
Really?
it once. I tried it once at work because I was bet $20 that I couldn't eat the whole like little package that it comes in.
Uh huh.
It's like that big. It took me like 20 minutes, but I ended up choking it down. But yeah, no, it wasn't good. At
I
least not on its own. And that's probably the problem is that I ate it just on its own.
right.
You know,
Well,
I don't know what it goes on, but yeah,
um, excuse me. Bear in mind that um, there are cheeses made with goat milk that aren't specifically just that one goat cheese, right? It's used for various cheeses. So don't get yourself locked
yeah,
into that one. It's just the popular one, right?
gotcha.
I mean, it's milk. You can do stuff with it. I mean, cow milk isn't the
Yeah,
only milk you can make into all sorts of crazy stuff.
yeah, of
And
course.
prove it's
Like
cow milk.
alpaca milk,
Alpaca. There you go.
alpaca. Yeah,
Elephant Man says, post-apocalypse dogs, you need to have a hound and a shepherd. And I'm going to say this. I say you
yeah,
need 3 dogs, actually. I suggest 2 shepherds and a hound.
yeah,
Now, the reason why I say 2 shepherds is shepherds do, they do feel a little packish, and they like to have a playmate.
mm-hmm,
They really like that, especially if you're a good alpha leader. Then they just have a buddy in the pack. Not that the hound won't be a part of that, but the other
yeah,
specific reason you have 2 is because in a situation where you use them for attack purposes, it is better for them to hunt in a pack mentality than a solo capacity. Hands down. German Shepherds, pack mentality, crazy shit. That or
yeah.
Dobermans. Dobermans are pretty good with the
And
pack
I've
mentality.
seen a few sheep herding demonstrations. They always have two dogs. They usually use one at a time. But the most recent one that I went to at the Scottish Highland Festival, that's where I always get it. Scottish Highland Games is always where I see those demonstrations. But the most recent one, um, the sheep actually like got out of the little area that they were supposed to be, and so they started kind of running around, and it took both dogs like running and chasing them to get them to the right, to right back to the right
Right.
spot. Yeah, the people were pretty embarrassed, but like to see those dogs work, it was crazy.
Yeah,
But yeah, they worked like together even though they were separated. It was weird.
right.
It's interesting to see how they worked. Yeah,
And I mean, this,
but two dogs is definitely better.
yeah, it's the 2 German Shepherds
Yeah,
work really well together. They always work well like that. So not to discount what you said, but I think it's great. But you just need to add one more Shepherd in there, and you'll be good to go.
yeah,
You know, if you can get 2 sired from the same litter, huh, even better, right? Much
absolutely.
better. Do what?
I was agreeing with you.
Oh, you froze up a little bit there.
Oh, did I? Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
wow. Why did you freeze up? What's going on there?
My no, it's my internet. I'm getting a notification about it. Your internet connection is unstable. So it's on my end, not Zoom.
Seawall says not to fuck with foxes because they're good anti-vermin animals. They're like cats, but better.
Oh,
Um, I, I,
that's cool.
I'm not saying kill all the foxes, but I will say this: fox fur is a very warm substance. When you talk about making something like gloves out of those or something like that, or adding it to a nice blanket, sewing it. Shit. Fox fur is a nice, dense little fur that's, you know, and especially if it's short hair fox. I mean, you have both, right? You have long hair and short, depending on what you run into, where you're at. But the short hair,
Yeah.
serves a lot of good purposes. Don't knock me, man. You got to get your skin somewhere, right? I mean,
Yeah.
you know, don't hate me because I have standards. I like fox fur better than coyote. God. Don't don't make me raise chinchillas too.
Yeah. No.
All right. Well, so I'm kind of, I'm in that place right now where I'm like, okay, so we can go either way. We can keep talking and just shooting the shit, or we can go ahead and end this on a decent note. I mean, I know it's early tonight, but um, you know,
Well, we gave an extra hour on Monday, so.
yeah. So, but we have some
Let's.
other things to talk about and do,
Yeah.
show specific wise, and I want to get to that so that we actually get to bed at a decent, or I get to
All
bed at
right.
a decent boomer
Fair
hour.
enough. Let's do. Well,
And
that's already passed. It's past 6 p.m.
well, yeah, but I make exceptions for the
I
show.
mean, Murder She Wrote was over like 5 hours ago. I'm just saying, like.
Uh, Guess what? They show Matlock after, so
Oh, you're
sometimes
right.
sometimes I
Yes.
stay up a little later,
Woo,
pal.
go crazy.
Get me some Matlock in.
Oh
But
man.
anyway, John, these wonderful people who've been in the chat that might still be hanging around, that have probably all hit the like button because they're so awesome, can
So,
find us and talk to us somewhere. Wait, are you freezing up again? You look frozen,
I don't
John.
think so.
Okay. You're okay. There's your screen back. Your camera froze. It was the last to
Okay.
catch up. So that's lagging. We can still hear you. So tell these folks where they can find us at those
Yeah.
wonderful places.
Yes, you can find us all of our links in the description. Got our Twitter link, which is GenGapP. Got our Discord link, so make sure you join that because Discord is awesome and fun. We've got our link to freedomscoop.com, of course.
Hmm?
We can find all of our stuff, and you can find other creators like Jay Edgar, who was in here earlier, Stephen Ignoramus, find Wyatt, Roundtable Decision, um, Already Conservative is over there as well. And last but of course not least, the Freckles and Brit Show is over there too. And while you're over there, you can buy our shirts and our mugs, which are cool and awesome.
Wait, they're cool
and uh,
and awesome.
and awesome at the same time.
Damn.
What's even better, Robert,
No.
is that when you go to checkout, you can put in the code GenGap to get 15% off your entire purchase. So the more you get, the more you save. 15% is more money. So the more stuff you get, the cheaper it actually is. It's crazy.
That's insane, John.
I
That's
know.
just it's like they're giving it away.
Right. It's crazy. Yeah.
All right, so again, we appreciate everybody coming out and having chats with us. Sorry, we're gonna kill it a little early tonight. John's not as passionate about the environment as he needs to be. You know, but getting
Yeah.
John to be an alarmist about anything is like getting him to shave his beard.
I'm not very alarming.
You're just, yeah, you don't give a shit about enough to be alarmed, right? Like
I
you
guess,
hear
yeah.
stuff, but you don't
Like,
like, oh, the sky's never falling, right?
right.
All right.
Still there.
But we will be back again on Monday night for Shooting the Shit episode. And
Yes.
real quick, so we're taking this seriously. John is going to create. He is going to create a channel in
Yes.
the Discord server so we can have suggestions. If there's somebody you want to want us to try and get on the show, and in that channel we can give you updates on how that's going, or if we lock somebody down. We will put together a charity stream coming up in the relatively short here soon, sometime for the summer-ishness, as it were. Because I don't want to wait till all the way till Halloween. That's just too long.
No, that's way too long.
So we'll be working on that. And until then, again, Monday night, we'll be here at 9:30 Eastern Time for our regular Shooting the Shit episode. And then back again next Friday at 8:30 for our regular episode, 8:30 Eastern Time. And remember, that is Eastern Time, the one and only true time zone.
Correct.
We are first. So keep that in mind. We'll talk to you soon. And John, please recycle. It's important to everyone that is anyone.
I don't know. I rewinded a couple of Blockbuster VHS tapes in my day, so I think I've done my part. I think I'm all right.
Always
I think I'm okay.
be kind and rewind.
So please, that's right.
All right, we're out of here. We'll talk to you later, folks. Peace.
Yep. See you guys.
The war will begin.